The drama surrounding Game 2 of the WNBA Finals wasn't about who scored the most points or who lifted the trophy. It was about something deeper, something that cut straight to the heart of what the league has become. The matchup between A'ja Wilson's Las Vegas Aces and the Connecticut Sun, led by DeWanna and Alyssa Thomas, was supposed to be the ultimate showcase of elite basketball. But when the lights dimmed, what should have been a roaring spectacle turned into a haunting silence. Empty seats stretched across the arena. Cameras searched desperately for angles that didn't expose the truth. And Wilson, standing at center court, looked like a queen in a hollow kingdom. This was supposed to be her night, her legacy moment. The reigning MVP, the face of the league, and the symbol of dominance, all left staring at rows of gray plastic instead of screaming fans. And when she finally broke her silence, her words carried the weight of a star, realizing her light was fading. Wilson didn't just see an underattended game. She saw a Cressida league slipping through her fingers. In a moment, caught on camera and whispered through courtside reports, she vented her frustration, saying fans weren't invested, that people seemed to care more about the drama than the game itself. But beneath her anger lay something more painful, a quiet admission that without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA felt lifeless, because even though Clark wasn't anywhere near that arena, her shadow loomed over everything. Every tweet, every comparison, every sarcastic comment online reminded the world that when Clark isn't playing, people aren't watching. Ticket prices told the story better than any headline could. Finals seats were selling for as little as $35, a fraction of what Clark's Fever games had drawn earlier in the year, where courtside seats went for thousands. The WNBA's crown jewel event looked more like a mid-season scrimmage than a championship clash. Even the sound system, blaring artificial excitement, couldn't mask the emptiness. The humiliation was swift and brutal. Social media lit up with mockery as photos of the half-empty arena went viral. "Historic moment if you can find the fans," one user wrote. Others joked that they could hear the players breathing between dribbles. To A'ja Wilson, it was devastating. She had done everything right, won championships, earned MVPs, led her team with heart, and yet it wasn't enough. For the first time, she was witnessing what it looked like when the league moved on without her. Wilson tried to mask her irritation, but by the second quarter, her composure cracked. Cameras caught her throwing her towel, muttering under her breath, glancing toward the crowd or lack thereof with disbelief. The commentators called it passion, but fans saw insecurity. To them, this wasn't a competitor frustrated with her performance. This was a superstar realizing that the league's center of gravity had shifted. It wasn't orbiting around her anymore. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's name trended the entire night. The irony was almost poetic. The rookie who wasn't even playing managed to dominate the finals conversation. Fans joked that Clark had outsold the championship without stepping on the court. They weren't wrong. The WNBA's most anticipated series had become background noise, overshadowed by someone sitting at home. Wilson's frustration wasn't baseless. It was existential. For years, she had been the face of the WNBA, the standard of greatness. But Clark had done what no one before her could. She brought in millions of new fans, people who didn't just watch basketball, they felt something again. The empty seats weren't just about attendance, they were about emotion. It showed the difference between admiration and connection. Wilson was admired. Clark was loved. Even inside the WNBA offices, panic set in. Ratings for Game 2 dropped sharply from the semifinals, where Clark's Fever had drawn nearly 2 million viewers. The finals, without her, barely reached half that. On TikTok, fans joked that they didn't even know the championship had started. On Reddit, one post summed it up perfectly. "Wake me when Caitlin's back." That disconnect spoke volumes. It wasn't just casual viewers tuning out. It was loyal basketball fans who felt alienated. They weren't rejecting the game. They were rejecting the attitude. The league that once fought for respect had turned inward, consumed by ego and resentment. Players like Wilson, Bonner, and Thomas carried themselves with the weight of entitlement, while Clark represented something refreshing: authenticity, humility, joy. Fans could sense it. They weren't watching because they felt excluded from the story the league was trying to sell. And when people stopped feeling connected, they stopped showing up. The backlash was relentless. Memes flooded every platform. People mocked the finals as a charity event no one cared about. Jokes about the cheap tickets and the quiet arena went viral, each one twisting the knife a little deeper. One viral tweet read, "You could hear the basketball bounce, no fans, no soul." NBA players even joined the laughter, liking posts that poked fun at the turnout. What was supposed to be a celebration of elite competition turned into a public roast. For Wilson, this was personal humiliation. She wasn't just fighting opponents, she was fighting perception. Her once celebrated confidence now looked like arrogance. Her leadership, once praised, now seemed out of touch. Fans remembered her dismissive interviews, her subtle digs at Caitlin Clark, and her constant demand for respect. Now that same bravado felt hollow, because respect isn't demand, it's earned. And Clark had earned it the moment she made people care. Meanwhile, one but Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's silence made everything worse. She had been loud when the league's ratings were soaring thanks to Clark, but now with attendance collapsing, she disappeared. No statements, no reassurance, just silence. The fans noticed. She was everywhere when Clark was selling tickets, one user wrote. Now she's nowhere when her stars can't fill a gym. The optics were brutal. It looked like the league was hiding from its own reflection. Behind closed doors, things reportedly got even tenser. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver was said to be furious. The NBA had poured resources, marketing, credibility into building up the WNBA's brand, and now its biggest stage was empty. Insiders claimed Silver began demanding answers. How did the league let its championship become a ghost town? How could one rookie's absence expose so much weakness? He wasn't interested in excuses. He wanted accountability. Sponsors were growing restless too. Brands that had jumped on the Caitlin Clark wave were now questioning their investment. They hadn't signed up for controversy and ego. They'd signed up for growth and inspiration. What they got instead was a fractured league with no clear leadership. The message was simple. If the WNBA couldn't fix itself, the NBA would step in. Game 2 wasn't just another night of basketball. It was a mirror held up to the league's identity crisis. The empty seats symbolized more than apathy. They represented the collapse of trust between the league and its fans. Players demanded respect while ignoring the audience that gave it. Executives boasted about growth while hiding the decline. And through it all, Caitlin Clark's name echoed louder than every buzzer. For A'ja Wilson, that realization had to sting. Remains one of the most gifted players in the sport. But greatness isn't measured by stats alone, it's measured by impact. And right now, the impact belonged to someone else. Clark didn't just play the game, she changed it. The WNBA's refusal to embrace that change might be its downfall. When history looks back at this finals, it won't remember the score or the MVP. It'll remember the silence, the empty seats, the frustration on Wilson's face, and the ghost of Caitlin Clark haunting every frame. This was supposed to be the league's pinnacle. Instead, it became its warning. But the question now is simple. Will the WNBA learn from it? Can it rebuild the connection that made fans care again? Or will pride keep it from evolving? Because one thing is clear, the fans have already chosen who they believe in. So what do you think? Was A'ja Wilson justified in her frustration? Or is this just proof that the WNBA underestimated Caitlin Clark's impact? Do you think Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver will finally step in to save the league's image? And most importantly, can the WNBA ever recover the spark that Clark brought? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next breakdown of the biggest moments shaking the sports world.